a block in a gCADPlus drawing is a single entity, but it consists of multiple parts. So this symbol here, if we click on it, notice that it has one handle is a block. If we come over here, we can see its block reference. It has a name, cPlant 01. Whereas if we take that block and copy it and then break it up into its constituent parts with the explode command, that's this command down here, we explode it, then this symbol, which looks ostensibly the same, consists of a number of different elements, different polylines. If we make a copy of this drawing, we can stamp multiple copies very easily, but if we want to make a copy of a symbol that consists of individual entities as this one, we can copy it and move it, and like so. It is much easier. Let's move this symbol over, say, a seat, or better still, a fire pit there. It's easy to edit and adjust and move things around than it is here, because you can see I'm just picking the inside one. I've got to be very careful with my picking. So if you use blocks in your drawing, the drawing is more efficient. You can make multiple copies of it, and it does not take any extra file size, so the drawing behaves in a very snappy way. So let's remove these copies of a symbol which haven't been turned into a block. Maybe it's an appropriate time, before we do that, let's eliminate these. Maybe it's an appropriate time to show how within a drawing you can turn a collection of symbols into a block. Let's add a circle. Let's imagine we're trying to do a circle for an existing tree. Let's pick that circle. We'll move it into the center, change its diameter slightly, and we'll make it a fill. So now we've got some symbols which might represent an existing tree on site. To turn that into a block, you can select all the entities that you want to combine as a single element, wrap a box around them, right click and say create block. We need to give it a name, existing tree, and you'll notice over on the left a pick point. That's the base point, and you'll see its significance in a moment. I'll pick as my base point the center, and OK. That symbol's now in the drawing along with all of these other blocks. You can see the blocks that are in the drawing by clicking the BL indicator there, and we have an existing tree. You can scroll up and down through the list of blocks, and you can see they can be given meaningful names. This one here is a symbol for a water tank. Let's close from there. Notice when I select the block that we've just made, you can see the single handle which shows on the insertion point of the block. Let's now draw your attention to some of these blocks down here. If we pick the elevation view, you can see its handle is at the bottom left. That means if we bring in that screen, it'll be anchored at that point, and that's fine. But when we pick this one, you can see the anchor point is well away. So let's bring in the fire pit, so blocks, and let's see if we can find the fire pit, and we insert it into the drawing. And I hope you can see that we're anchored at a point which may or may not work for you. It's a little awkward to position the fire point accurately. So it might sit there, and these may represent seats around the new fire pit. We pick this one here, there's its base point, it's called. This one here has a base point just slightly off. So you have the ability in gCADPlus to make blocks and to create a base point which works for you and is convenient. All of the symbols we make, which are accessed via the library and plants and standard symbols, if we pick one of these, it should come in anchored at the base point at a convenient base point for us to drop it in position. If the base point is too far away from the symbol, that can create some difficulty. So that's blocks in a drawing. So clearly blocks can be made inside a drawing while you are working with the drawing, and the blocks command enables you to see those drawings which have been brought into your drawing environment. But you can make blocks as separate drawings. Let's do that. File and New, and I'll pick No Template. So I want to start with no defined layers or whatever. There'll only be one layer in this drawing, and that's layer 0. So if I wanted to create a symbol, say for an existing tree that we wanted to remove, how might you go about doing that? Well, I could draw a circle, center radius. Now it's a really good idea to make the center of that at a coordinate 0, 0. And now I'm asked for the radius. You might argue if it's an existing tree on site, it's going to have a reasonable size radius. Let's give it a 4-meter diameter tree, and we'll zoom extents. Now an existing tree would have a circle as a symbol. If it's going to be a new one, it would have a cross in the middle. So we'll draw and we'll put a circle, locate the circle at the center, we'll snap to the center there, and we'll give it we'll say it's got a 200mm trunk diameter, and I like to make that circle a filled circle. Now remember, this symbol is going to be indicate a tree that's going to be removed, so you might change, let's say, your drawing color now to red, and we'll draw a couple of lines running at, say, 45 degrees, and we'll repeat the line and run down like so. So there's a drawing which currently has no name, and we're going to use it as an indicator of an existing tree. You might want to rotate that so that you get the cross symbols looking a little better at a slightly neater looking angle. Now to use that as a block in other drawings, we simply save it as a drawing, and I'll put it in my temp folder. I'll go save. That'll prompt me for a file name. I'll go to this PC here, and I'll put it in my temp folder, and we'll call it exist tree to remove. Try and give your blocks, these separate drawings, a meaningful name, and we can close it. Now we can bring it back into this drawing with the blocks command, add from another file. What we're looking for is existing tree to remove. There it is. Now because we started the circle with a diameter of 4 meters, it should come in at that size, and the symbol should be anchored at the center of the circle. So we can say OK and insert into the drawing. You'll notice here on this dialog box we can specify a rotation or angle, but I want to specify the insertion point as we bring it in. So that now represents a symbol that we brought in from outside this drawing environment. Now it's now part of the list of blocks. You may notice as we move through here, the delete sign is grayed out. If we were to delete that symbol that we've just brought in, let's do that, and go to the blocks list again, that existing tree, notice that the word delete shows. We can actually remove that block from the drawing by doing that, and OK. So that's a way of keeping the file size relatively small. If you bring blocks in that are no longer needed, do clear out the blocks list from time to time. So to sum up, a block can be made while you are drawing, or it can be made as a separate drawing. It's quite important to get the base point working for you. If we pick this block, gCADPlus has a wonderful facility of allowing you to edit the block on the fly. I can right click and edit that block, and I could select all of these entities and I could move them from that center point to 0, 0, zoom extents, or close the block editor. Now you'll notice that the symbol has moved a little, but when we pick it, can you see now it's anchored in the same position that we desire. So you can edit your blocks on the fly, but if we brought that block in from an external source and edit it like so, the original block stays the same. The editing is only done in this particular drawing file. So blocks require a little understanding, of certainly efficient use of blocks in the gCADPlus environment needs some work to understand how they work and how you can work efficiently with them.